Madam Speaker, I won't be very long. Madam Speaker, again, I'd like to recognize the fact that the Honourable Prime Minister is away overseas, and that's why he's not able to give his right of reply. He, as we know, is carrying out the efforts that Fiji has been given the responsibility of. Those people who made some incorrect statements, we were in fact asked by the USA, led by other countries, to take up the presidency. For the record, Honourable Randondo, Saloti Randondo, doesn't know what she's talking about. Madam Speaker, this essentially signifies the great level of confidence that the international community actually has, and countries like USA actually had in Fiji, to actually put up our name for the presidency. Madam Speaker, and again we implore the opposition to please, they talk about bipartisanship, please look at this matter at a national level, at an international level. Don't do political point scoring, which they have been doing. Similarly, Madam Speaker, I want to actually link this to the economy. Apart from the fact that climate change is an enormous impact on the economy, our ability to grow as an economy, economic development, agriculture, the negative impacts of that, but there's also economic opportunities within that. However, Madam Speaker, as the honourable members from this side very eloquently have stated, some of them, as you can see, have really come out quite emphatically, talking with a lot of passion about how the opposition has reacted to His Excellency's speech. And that is the focus on ethnicity. Madam Speaker, I need to address this because it has an enormous negative impact on economic growth. Honourable Bimat Prasad will know this. He's written articles on this. How the impact of having a country, a society that's beholden to a non-economic issue can actually have a negative impact on the economic growth of a country. How we actually able to discard the opportunities that may exist. Madam Speaker, we cannot be beholden to ethnic thinking. It is absolutely disastrous for us. And I'll give you some examples, Madam Speaker. Before, in Fiji, before the appointment of the Bainimarama government, when you arrived into Fiji, or when you left Fiji, the departure card said, if Fiji citizen fill out race. We removed that. It should have been asking question, if Fiji citizen, fill out your profession. Doctor, engineer, nurse, where's the brain drain? They talk about the lack of specialists. Why? Because there was no investment in our human capital. You don't turn out a heart surgeon overnight. When you do an MBBS, it takes 10-15 years to become a cardiac surgeon. Where was the investment in that? We've just had Dr. Biribo now, who's just come in doing neurological surgeries in Fiji that has never done before. Because he's been trained in New Zealand. We've invested in him. There are a lot more other doctors that we're investing in. We're giving up, they increased their salaries up to 80%. We're doing another review. But if we ethnically think about it, Madam Speaker, we'll always be saying, oh, how many people of this ethnic group? Honourable Prem Singh, he wants an ethnic breakdown of the civil service. When we have had a history, when coups have been justified on ethnicity, why does he want to perpetuate that issue? That is the problem, Madam Speaker. This is why we refuse to do it, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, the other issue there also is the inability to stand up to the rhetoric of ethnicity. In particular when it boils down to demagoguery. And we've seen the kind of demagoguery that comes from the other side, Madam Speaker. Because, Madam Speaker, whilst they may sit here and think that they are, just talking here in Parliament, there are people listening. There are people also listening who actually clutch on to these kind of ideas. And I don't like to say this publicly, Madam Speaker, but it is a fact. Madam Speaker, a lot of people have done this in our history because they want to preserve their economic status, their socio-economic status, their elite privileges. But, Madam Speaker, look what happened in 2000. And I'm saying that I'm cautioning everybody. I'm going to say this because the fact it did happen, people don't talk about it. When the government was held captive for 56 days, or 54 days, whatever it was in Veito, people in Moanewini were attacked. People in Vanuatu were attacked. Women were raped and they had cassava shoved up their vaginas. That's the kind of issue that was taking place. We had women in Vanuatu, and you know what ethnic group they were. They were asked to strip naked and parade in front of people and go and cook over the fire. That's what happened, Madam Speaker. People's homes were robbed. People's homes were robbed because they were told They were told that it's okay because these people are all rich and you can take it. This, Madam Speaker, is what this kind of racist agenda and rhetoric and demagoguery leads to. Because, Madam Speaker, it homogenizes people. When you homogenize people, you'll say all of these people in this ethnic group think like this. All of these people think like this. But, Madam Speaker, what it also does, it actually fails to address intra-group injustices. Intra-group injustices. Intra-group injustice, Madam Speaker. I'll give you an example. Madam Speaker, when you homogenize people, you'll say that all those people in that ethnic group think alike. But there are also within that group people who are rich. There are people who are poor. There are people who are women. There are people who are gay. There are people who are disabled. But you cloud over all of that. You assume only one or two people will speak for that group. That's what homogenization does, Madam Speaker. And it is detrimental. Not just to the socio-economic fabric, but the social fabric, but also the economic fabric. The 1997 Constitution they talk about, homogenization led to this. Out of the 23 Itauke seats that were reserved for the Itauke people, only 6 went to urban Itauke people. At those times we used to call them Fijians. 6 urban Fijian seats. When nearly 50% of the voters of Itauke were living in urban areas. That's what you call gerrymandering. The province of Namosi that had a seat had a voters of about 3,300 people. They voted for one person. The province of Danroga had 19,000 voters. They voted for one person. Is that equal suffrage? Universal suffrage? No. It's not. It's what you call gerrymandering. In some countries it is actually illegal to do that. That's what homogenization does, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, the reality is that we need to get away from this way of thinking. Scholarships, Madam Speaker. When they had scholarships based on ethnicity. I know personally people who are related to me. The Itauke scholarship, what they used to call the Fijian Affairs Board. We had certain children of chiefs who kept on failing but kept on getting the scholarships. Some of them took 10 years to do a degree. But the ordinary Koma Itauke guy who got even a very high mark did not even get a peek even at the scholarship. They did not even get a peek at the scholarship. That's what happens, Madam Speaker, when you homogenize. When you don't have open merit systems of selection of people, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, the reality is that, and it leads to such preposterous views because people just cannot get out of that way of thinking. When we appointed the last electoral commission, not this one, the previous one, somebody came to me and said, hey, just because you went to Marist doesn't mean you're going to appoint all Catholics to the electoral commission. I did not even realize that apparently out of 5 of the 7 commissioners were Catholics. But you see, the way of thinking that it perpetuates. People start breaking it down along religious lines, ethnic lines. So how can we progress? We had recently a letter from a trade unionist. Trade unionists, Madam Speaker, are supposed to look at the socio-economic issues, on class issues. They wrote a letter complaining saying, oh, FEA has hired the last batch of apprentices FEA hired, all of them were Indo-Fijians. They got their own merit. They applied like everybody else. Maybe the next batch will be all Itauke. Maybe the next batch will be all Eskimos. Maybe the next batch will be Chinese. Maybe all next batch may be all from Rewa. Maybe all next batch will be from wherever else. But they've got their own merit. What does that mean? That FEA's output will be a lot better. The reality of the country is that people will always get jobs on merit. Honorable Uniwanga has very eloquently stated that. That, Madam Speaker, is what we need to understand because it has a huge impact on our economy. Today again, Honorable Prem Singh accusing Jane Karan, who has been helping us since prior to the elections, accused her of being a racist because she used a few phrases that even I use with my staff. Not because they're the same ethnic group or different ethnic group. When you say something to anybody, it's a colloquial speech. When you say to somebody do something, they have to understand, what language, you don't understand the language I'm speaking. Does not mean English. The only reason he's doing that is because she's white. Only reason he's doing that because she's white. This is how preposterous it is. This is how preposterous it is, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, Madam Speaker, the reality is that we need to ensure, and then they say, oh, in one case OMRS has not worked. Madam Speaker, if it has not worked, is something wrong with it? There's a procedure about appeals process. They can go through that process. No system is perfect, Madam Speaker. This is why we have an appeals process. Same way a court gives a decision, you don't like the decision, you appeal. Magistrates Court, High Court, Court of Appeal, Supreme Court. He knows that. He's been a court clerk all his life, nearly. He should know that. Madam Speaker, nearly I said, not all his life, nearly. Madam Speaker, the reality is this. We need to be able to break out of the shackles. The reality is that the Constitution has actually provided the legal address for many of the issues that has become political hotbeds, political stones. We've put that to rest. Our focus is, Madam Speaker, is on delivery. Yes, they always go on, they say, oh, previous government have built roads, bridges. Yes, they have. Nobody's ever said that. But at a very slow rate. That's the point. If you look at the breakdown of budgets, Madam Speaker, the previous government, if you look at the breakdown, budget breakdown, 87% of the budget went to operational expenditure. Only 13%, 14% went to capital expenditure. You look at our breakdown, 49%, 40% of total budget goes into capital expenditure, which means we are building more. Madam Speaker, the reality is, there are people still, a lot more people about 10 years ago were drinking from creeks, drinking from wells with tadpoles in it. Some of them still are doing that. But far less of them are doing that because we put in all those projects. A lot more people, not natural progress, you don't even understand what you're talking about, Madam Speaker. The point of the matter is this. If you look at the rate of rural electrification, Madam Speaker, if you look at the rate of rural electrification, Madam Speaker, if you look at the rate of rural electrification, if you look at the rate of connections to water reticulated systems, it's been the highest it's ever been. Highest it's ever been. People are languishing. You have to pay a deposit 10%, 5%. Some of them did not pay, others paid, then it did not get done. Today you don't have to pay a deposit. We have a whole list of people that are getting connected. Look at the budget supplement. Look at all the details. Madam Speaker, this is what we are focused on, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, and there is a huge level of investment. And the reason why there's a huge level of investment, Madam Speaker, because of the stability in policies. Because people actually see that there's a lot of commercial sense, it gives them the level of confidence. Today, as the Honourable Mr. Martin was talking about, there are a lot of people now who are getting paid rates of salaries they've never unheard of. A welder in Suva gets paid $15, $16 an hour. Bricklayers are getting $8, $9 an hour. Electricians are getting $12 an hour. We need more of them. This is why we set up these technical colleges. The economy is growing. Let's all capture that. Let's all work together. Don't politicize it. We keep on saying this. The Honourable Prime Minister said this. Let's not politicize the economy. Let's, Madam Speaker, work together because all of us, both sides want jobs. We have to do that. Both sides want the economy to grow. Both sides want people's livelihoods to increase. Both sides, most people, we want to get rid of absolute poverty. We want that. So let's work together, to Madam Speaker, to facilitate that. Madam Speaker, today, of course, again, I just want to get back to the homogenization thing. How we have, when you homogenize, you have all the elitism, etc. Look what happened a few years ago. When all these homogenistic policies, treating everybody, one group, things like that. Who got the Class A shares in Fijian holdings? Who got the Class A shares? The elites got the Class A shares. Who got the Class B shares? The provinces got the Class B shares. Under this government, now the dividend payment is equal. Before, the dividend payment was disequal. Class A share people got more dividends than the Class B shares when the Fijian holdings was actually set up to benefit the people who got the Class B shares. That's what happened, Madam Speaker. So, Madam Speaker, the reality is that, I worked as a prosecutor for a while. We had people trying to use traditional methods of settling rape matters. Let's do the bulumbulu. A lot of these issues were swept under the carpet, Madam Speaker. So in order to provide justice in the public space, we need to have these legal precepts to ensure that everybody feels comfortable. Not just us, but people who come to invest in our country too. They need to be able to feel that level of confidence. We are a modern nation state. Madam Speaker, our services are increasing. We are now, for example, we got BDM offices in every major town and city. We have got, for example, Madam Speaker, legal aid officers. This helps people at the low end of the socio-economic background. They also need access to justice. All of this work is being done, Madam Speaker. Last night, Madam Speaker, I was with the Honourable Minister for Lands, the Minister for Local Governments team were there also. These people who are living in Omkar settlements, you know, they're saying all the governments have done things. People have been there for 45 years, 40 years, 30 years, 25 years. Entire generation has passed through there. No government gave them a lease. It was Crown land. The Minister for Local Government carried out the subdivision. They issued the titles. Yesterday, 63 people have got an asset today that they did not have for the past 40 years. Madam Speaker, this is the point. The previous governments did not do that. So, Madam Speaker, what we are saying, Madam Speaker, we need to be able to be focused on that. We, of course, like we said, we are playing catch-up. Honourable Gavoka talks about Vaturu Dam. He talks about Monosavu. He mentioned Vaturu Dam. Who was the government in place when Vaturu Dam was commissioned? It wasn't this government. Who did the deal then? The Honourable Prime Minister, when he went up to Monosavu, he had people from Monosavu who gave the land. They saw the electrical cables going over the villages. They did not get the electricity themselves. This government gave them the electricity. This government gave them the electricity. Unfortunately for them, they had to get legal recourse, go outside and fight it in the court of law. If we had not been around, Madam Speaker, the things would have been different. So reality, Madam Speaker, is this. I mean, even if you look at the rent that people at Nosori Airport, how they gave away the land. SVT government, Alliance government, all of these other DL, SDL, well, they're all there. Nobody changed the rent permutation for that. We are doing a review of that. So, Madam Speaker, again, you know, there's a lot of talk. They go around telling these people, you should be getting X number of $1 million for this particular deal. No, it's incorrect, Madam Speaker. The Fisheries Act, 1941 or 42, all other governments have used it to calculate the Golingoli issue. All of them have used it. We have actually, Madam Speaker, changed the policy where they're getting more consultations in respect of that. But what they don't go and tell those people is that if they're actually able to do a proper assessment here, if a development does take place, what does it do to the rest of the land that the Itokia landowners own? It increases the value. It increases the value. So if they're going to put a few water bungalows, maybe they'll get more business opportunities on another ancillary business. They can actually have partnerships with them. These are the kind of things that they don't go and talk about. So, Madam Speaker, the fact of the matter is, when we talk about economic development, we need to take a holistic approach to it, Madam Speaker. We need to be able to understand the commercial issues that does exist. I urge Honourable Gavoka to go and talk to Tony Whitten and see how much he's paying in Liku Liku. They're actually getting a gross percentage of their gross turnover, yes. Madam Speaker. There are other issues, Madam Speaker, that think that they contribute. He talks about the Tavarua. He said, oh, millions of dollars have been lost because of Surfing the Act. No, they did not get millions of dollars before that. If they had received millions of dollars, they would be living in palaces by now. And Honourable Madam Speaker, what actually happened was one of...
They were getting about $700,000 a year, around that. So over the last 10 years, or whatever they've been stopped from doing it, it would have gone into millions. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Madam Speaker, if I can continue. And the payments that were being given, one or two chiefs got the larger lump sum. That's what he's not saying. One or two chiefs got the larger lump sum. After the Surfing Act was put in place, I had one or two of those chiefs calling us, saying, wait, what about my payment? That's what used to happen, Madam Speaker. Even if $700,000 was equally being given to everybody, they would have a different economic situation. But what they are not saying, Madam Speaker, is today, they actually have business opportunities, because before what happened, Tavarua had exclusive right over that reef. So even if I'm living in the village and a surfer comes to me and says, can you take me in my punt to the cloud break? He can't do that. They can only go one Saturday in a month. That's what used to happen. Today, Madam Speaker, anybody can go. A lot of these people who actually have their punts, these people hire their punts and they're making money from that, Madam Speaker. And this brings me, Madam Speaker, to the other issue. Is equal distribution of land lease monies. Madam Speaker, so many commoner Itoke people are very happy with the equal distribution of land lease monies. They are being economically empowered. They are improving their lives. Based on that, Madam Speaker, they said, oh, the Itoke Lands Trust Board is being politicized because the Honourable Prime Minister is the chairman. Because, you know, he's the Prime Minister, he should not sit there. I pulled out the list of all the people who were the chairman of TLTB. Honourable Lalam Balabu, I see your name there too. You were there, exactly. You were a political appointment. So your people are saying that just because the Honorable Prime Minister here, Vorenge Beni Marama, is the chairman, is that because of his appointment as chairman, therefore TLTB has become politicized. But chairmans of TLTB have always been political appointments. So what's the difference? I've got a whole list, I can give it to you here. Even your leader outside this parliament was the chairman for so many years. Was it not politicized then?
Point of order.
Just clarification as well, Madam Speaker. The Honourable Attorney General, the Acting Prime Minister, needs to check his facts right. He's mentioning my name by saying that I brought that up with that the chairmanship should include the Prime Minister. I'm sorry, Madam Speaker. That is completely false.
Madam Speaker, I did not say Honorable Lalam Balagu said it. I said the other side said it. I said they are politicizing it. I didn't say you, Honorable Lalam Balagu. And the list is here, Madam Speaker. You see, Madam Speaker, what this goes to show is the disingenuity on the other side. Just political points. Honorable Kiliraki, I don't even want to start over the things he said. Reality is, Madam Speaker, is that we need to be able to focus on the economic development. We need to be able to ensure that whether it's the landowner, whether it's the squatter, whether it's the woman, anybody, Madam Speaker, irrespective of ethnicity, as long as they're a Fijian, that we are able to help them. And that, Madam Speaker, is exactly what His Excellency our President was saying. That's exactly what our Honourable Prime Minister is doing and has been saying. Many of the things, Madam Speaker, that we are saying, they're saying make Fiji free. Fiji has been never more freer than before. Because, I'll tell you why. I'll tell you why. Because today we are discussing issues and topics that were before taboo. You could not talk about it. And that as a result, Madam Speaker, was holding our country back. We are able to now air out issues freely, openly, into the public space. They say the media is restricted. How is the media restricted? There is absolutely no restriction on the media to report on anything they do, they say. Neither on us. You see, the fact of the matter is, many things have progressed very, very quickly from 2014, 13, 14 in Fiji. This side of the House, the Honourable Prime Minister and his team have moved along really quickly too. We've made changes. We've done a lot of things. They are caught in a time warp. They are not able to reconfigure themselves. I'm appealing to them, and I'm not saying this with any kind of, malice. Please, reconfigure yourself for the sake of our country. 69.4% of the entire population of Fiji lives below the age of 40. They want to hear and see much better things, in particular coming from the opposition. This is your cue for your campaigning material I'm giving you now. Madam Speaker, the reality is that, Madam Speaker, the reality is that today we have an economic situation where we have high levels of investment. We have 8 years of growth projected for another 2 years, Madam Speaker. Inequality has dropped, as I mentioned, and let me highlight again. What is really interesting, Madam Speaker, before I highlight that, the recent survey by the Bureau of Statistics shows that the number of school dropouts has dropped from 31.9% in 2010 to 2012 to 4.8% in 2015-2016. A huge amount. But, Madam Speaker, what is actually interesting is that, 31.9% of the people who dropped out of school in 2010 and 2011 said that they are dropping out because of cost of going to school. Only 4.8% in 2015-2016 who dropped out of school said, I'm not going to school anymore because of cost. So, Madam Speaker, what it goes to show is that government's policies to make education more inclusive is actually working really well. A lot more people today are attending school because they do not feel the cost burden. In the same way that we said, Madam Speaker, many households in Fiji stopped the women or the girls from going to school because they had to make a choice. 5 brothers, 2 sisters, they could afford to only sell 3 or 4 or 5, they'll send the boys because the girls would get married in any case. That's what used to happen, that's a fact. Today all of them are going to school because they don't have to pay for the school fees. Madam Speaker, and the Honourable Leader of Opposition says, oh, it's not free because we don't give them lunch and uniform. Madam Speaker, come on. The reality is that these people are now going to school because we're paying for them. But inequality, Madam Speaker, again independent third parties, The Gini coefficient shows 2008-2009 was 0.43, today is 0.36. 2013-2014 is 0.36. So inequality has dropped, Madam Speaker. Yes, we accept the fact. In some countries, when you have economic growth does not always mean that the growth is actually shared equally. In Fiji's case, because of the policies we put in, inequality is actually dropped, Madam Speaker, which is something that we need to be proud of. Yeah. Madam Speaker, we are looking at other things behind the scenes. You know, they talk about VAT, reducing VAT, etc. We need to be able to look at how those costs actually are incurred in the first place, as announced in the budget, Madam Speaker. And you can already see, one supermarket chain has already reacted to this. They set up a new supermarket chain called Max U Value or something. You can see how costs have dropped because they know the threat of investigation on anti-competitive behavior is taking place. So as announced in the budget, we are working with the Fijian Competition and Commerce Commission to look at the monopolistic positions of those people who are the sole suppliers of food products. Not the retailers. Retailers are simply buying from them. But we are working with these people. So, Madam Speaker, there is a political will, administrative will, to look behind the scenes to be able to ensure that we are able to bring down the cost of living for all of these people, Madam Speaker. Taxi owners, all of them, bus operators, from 1st of October, they'll get 15-year license. Taxi owners will get 10-year license. Why? We want to able to improve the quality of public service transportation, but suddenly these people are now being given an asset that they can look after. They'll continue to build up the infrastructure. E-ticketing, all of these things, Madam Speaker, is happening. They talk about the sugarcane industry, $100 a ton. They don't talk about the cost input. They don't talk about the international economics of the world market price of sugar, Madam Speaker. Again, Madam Speaker, a lot of what they're doing is appealing to very basic, quick win fixes. Madam Speaker, what we say is this. Poverty does not recognize ethnicity. Poverty does not recognize religion. Poverty does not recognize where you live, Madam Speaker. It does not recognize whether a man or a woman. In the same way, a woman who is raped is a woman who is raped. Are we going to then do ethnic profiling of that, Honorable Prem Singh? A child who is molested, are we going to do an ethnic profiling of that? I remember, Madam Speaker, let me finish by saying this is a short story. I remember a few years ago, going back about 12, 15 years ago, I was near Keynes Genève, near the, one of the buildings there. A car came around the corner and the door opened and a baby fell out, a very young baby. And this lady turned around, who was standing next to me, said, "Indian baby, Fijian baby. Indian baby, Fijian baby." You see, Madam Speaker, we should be concerned that it was a baby. When we ingrain stereotyping, ethnic profiling, ethnic thinking, we want progress. Not just at the social level, but at an economic level. If we start profiling business people who come in through the door, if we start profiling doctors who apply for jobs, civil servants who apply for jobs, Madam Speaker, we want progress. So this is why, Madam Speaker, it is very, very critically important for all of us in this Parliament. Please, let's go to the elections and talk about policies. You have a right to win. We have a right to win. You have a right to campaign. We have a right to campaign. But, as His Excellency the President said, please do so with dignity. Please do so by telling the truth. Please do not focus on ethnicity. That's been the bane of our past. Let's not delve into that. And if anybody, whoever wins, we must win it because you know you won it fair and square and straight, not by duping the people of Fiji. So, Honourable Madam Speaker, with those few words, I'd like to once again thank His Excellency the President for his most gracious speech, and we look forward to working with all of you in this Parliament. Thank you.